Hi, this is Bhupinder and I'm back with the Stammering Eye. Today I'm going to be talking about how difficult it can be to be a stammerer in a group situation and how isolated we can feel talking in groups. For me, when I was younger, I was always called a really confident kid. There's loads of home videos that my dad took of me just speaking really freely all the time, being really funny, particularly around other family and even on camera, and just saying random things, kind of anything that came off the top of my head, I would basically say. And as I grew up and as my stammer became more and more, so I started stammering from about the age of 10, so quite late on for a stammerer. And I feel like because of that my identity kind of really shifted, and it kind of collided with the awkwardness that comes from being a teenager anyway. So in my teenage years I was just a very awkward person who would I always felt that the sociable person that I was still there, but just almost hiding underneath, and it would come out at times with friends and things like that and close family. But really, a lot of the time, particularly when either talking in class or meeting new people, or if a family came round that I didn't really know, it would, as soon as my stammer flared up, I'd just stop talking. And I've really been reflecting on that, kind of as I've got older, and kind of how much that's changed, and the things that have also stayed the same, and why that might be. One of the hardest things to kind of grapple with as a stammerer is that we don't always feel like talking all of the time. There are, quite a few times and situations where I just feel like, kind of hiding away a bit, or just being left to myself, but finding myself in a group situation. And I think it can be really difficult to show others who we really are, and to like have a presence when we're also kind of struggling with our speech. So for example, the other day I was in the staff room. Because I'm a supply teacher, I'm in like different schools most days. So I was in a staff room and I did know the staff, but not well at all. I'd only really been there a few times, and part of me really felt like making a conversation. It had been a really hard day, just like a hard morning, and there were a lot of stories that I could have told about some of the kids, and also that morning I'd spilt coffee all over myself, so I was also feeling just a bit like venting, and I almost had this narrative going on in my head of the things I could say, but then the other part of me felt like I just could not risk saying it and feeling awkward as I said it because of my stammer, because I find that if I stammer a lot and I don't feel comfortable about it, and I don't feel comfortable in the situation I'm in, then I just get really embarrassed afterwards, and it kind of almost feels a bit like you're drowning. And that feeling is so much worse for me in particular in a group situation than with one or two people. I find that there's a lot of pressure if you're in a group to almost be a bit like the life of the party, to kind of be someone who people find an entertaining, who is a bit of a laugh, like particularly again if you're at work and your colleagues are around you and they are bored at lunchtime. the person who can tell, a funny story, or just say something that people can kind of join in with, that can become a discussion. Like, that is the kind of person that people want to talk to. So I think it can feel really isolating at times if you just can't voice your own thoughts, and you just can't deliver things as you want to deliver them. And I feel like in groups, there's not enough time given to, like, how long people can talk for without being embarrassing. I'm really curious to know if other stammerers have felt like this, if other stammerers have felt as if they are a little bit invisible in groups because they're just scared to take the risk of speaking out, because, as I mentioned before, the stakes do feel too high in a group. So yeah, if you are somebody that also feels or has felt a bit like that, please let me know. I set up a group in my city called Coventry Stammerers because I was feeling really just like isolated. I was I I was just a bit curious, I think, to know what it would feel like if I was sitting in a group and talking with other stammerers instead of just trying to hide that part of myself and trying to fit in. And I have to say that it's completely transformed the way that I think of myself. Being part of Coventry Stammerers and creating the group has just opened my eyes to what a group interaction could be like if more people were understanding about stammering, but also if I knew more people who stammered, and if I was the same as other people, I think a lot of my interactions could have been very, very different. But I think that's the most amazing thing about being part of a group where other people stammer. It's that you realise that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. But it's just that when you're talking to fluent speakers, you're understandably comparing yourself to them. And that's something that it's just something that's so understandable to do, but it's something that I just can't keep doing. And I think as stammerers, we need to be kind of told more that we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to fluent speakers. But the only way that we can do that is by forming our own community of stammerers, or just trying to find other stammerers out there. The other day, I was in a Coventry Stammerers meeting in the pub that we go to just have a coffee, and I literally could not stop talking. And I just felt such a sense of freedom of my speech. It was insane. I just suddenly thought, whoa, well, I haven't actually stopped talking for the last 5 minutes. For the last 5 minutes, I hope people aren't kind of sick and tired of me yet. But it just feels incredible, I think, to be that free with your speech, to have no risk factor, to have no stakes at all. It just feels incredible. It's almost like turning on a tap, and the words, like, it doesn't matter how long they take to come out, you don't really care anymore, because you're talking to people who have such a similar experience of life and of talking to you. And it also made me realise that I can show people who I am, that I do have a personality, and that I am an interesting person, because I think sometimes we can just kind of belittle ourselves so much and think that we are more boring or just a bit less than other people, or even call ourselves an introvert, when actually we're just people who have to think about something else as we're talking. Other people do not have to constantly be thinking about, you know, how they're saying things, how they deliver a story, if they're going to be stopped as they're saying the punchline of a joke because they can't get the words out. And I think we just really need to cut ourselves some slack because we are doing amazingly. So, the next time that you are speaking in a group situation and you are feeling like you are struggling to get your words out or to speak at length, just remember that you are doing amazingly for even talking at all in that group situation, for even trying, because it's so much scarier for us as stammerers than for fluent speakers. We should never compare ourselves to them because we go through so much more. So every conversation that we have, either with a few people or in a bigger group or to anyone really, whilst stammering, is something that we should be really proud of ourselves for. I hope that you've enjoyed my video, and if you've got any thoughts at all about speaking in group situations and feeling a bit of a loss of identity, please comment below.